Hello, hello, and welcome to the BEA 2012. I'm Chris Colfer, and I am so incredibly honored to be here hosting today. You can tell that I'm really honored in telling the truth because I get extremely high-pitched when I get nervous and excited, so I apologize now. I come from a completely different world. I come from a world of touring buses, not magic school buses. So it's quite a change of scenery for me, and it's been a pleasure to be here. I want to thank, before I begin, the Children's Booksellers and Publishers Committee, if you're here today. And I also want to thank the ABC Children's Group at the ABA and the Children's Book Council. So whoever you guys are, thank you so much for being here and having me. I am absolutely honored to be sharing a stage with these literary legends. And I'm sure they're excited that the guy from Glee is here as well. The book world is so welcoming and inviting, and you guys work together. It's so foreign to me. And I have to thank my awesome publishers, Little Brown, who have been an absolute dream to work with in the process. It's great. Sometimes I'll say to people that are on my team that are not part of the book world, I'll say, wow, they like work with us. It's great. But you can't really say much about your family or your pet cat without someone going, can it be a book? But that's nice. That's fine. Well, the reason that I'm here today is because my first novel, The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell, comes out July 17th. At least I'm still hoping it comes out July 17th. Otherwise, I have a tattoo that needs to be removed. And my story with The Land of Stories is it's something that I've wanted to do since I was a wee kid of 10 years old, and have promised myself that I would eventually do it, and finally found a platform to launch a book. And so here I am with Little Brown publishing it. And when I was younger, I was absolutely obsessed with fairy tales, and my mother used to read them to me every night before I would go to bed. And her book that she'd read from was so different from every other treasury of fairy tales I've ever seen, because the pictures inside of it were not illustrations, but photographs of these dolls positioned in various situations of action that the story was telling. And I remember as a 4-year-old looking at that, just thinking it was so accessible, and how I really just wanted to dive into the book and have all these adventures with these fairy tale characters that I grew up loving. And so I think then is when I started kind of planning the book. And then when I was about 10, I decided that I was going to collect all these adventures that I daydreamed about and turn it into a book, because I thought other kids would like to have these adventures as well. My grandmother was my very first editor. And I used to write chapters every day for her, and each chapter was 2 pages long at the time. And I would go to her house, and I would give her a chapter a day, and she'd read it over, she'd grammar correct and get all the spelling errors out. And if she liked it, she'd keep it, but if she didn't like it, she'd throw it away and tell me I could do better. And I'm so glad that she did. I used to bring those chapters to my coworkers at the community theater that I was working at the time, and I would bring them like chapter 1 one night, and then the next night I'd bring them chapter 14, because I was a kid. I didn't need to bother with consistency or anything like that, and they used to say, Chris, where's chapter 2 through 12? And I'd say, well, I just didn't get to it yet. So they were the first people to ever get any kind of a copy of The Land of Stories. So I wonder if they're excited as much as I am now. It's really strange because I am from the Hollywood world, and usually Hollywood has a very big imagination when it comes to actors. Unless you try to venture out into another venue, then they kind of look at you very strangely. Everyone kind of expects me to do some kind of form of Glee with everything that I do in the future. And these next questions I'm going to read are actual questions that I have been asked on red carpets by reporters and journalists who think it's kind of strange that I'm doing a book instead of per se an album or another movie or something. So I'd like to share those with you now. First one, Chris, tell us about your book. Will there be singing and dancing in it? No, that would be kind of hard, unless every page was like a Hallmark, card where, it's saying, but no singing and dancing in the book. And, oh, what's it about then? Well, it's about two twins, Connor and Alex, who fall into a magical book and end up in the fairy tale world, and they have all these adventures with the fairy tale characters they grew up reading about. Is it autobiographical? No. I am one person, and I did not fall into a magical book and have adventures in another dimension. I would like to, but that did not happen. Now, do you play a gay student struggling for acceptance in this book? Once again, no. This is a book, and I'm not in this book. No, I do not make a cameo in the fairy tale world. No. But there's tons of valuable lessons in the book as well. Oh, and what are those? Well, for instance, Cinderella has this big spiel about how when she first came to the castle, she wasn't really liked by the kingdom because all the aristocratic families wanted the prince to marry their daughters. So she was known as the Pumpkin Princess and the Mouse Monarch, before she really made a difference and people, first started liking her. So she really had to put in her time with the kingdom. And why would you write a book like that instead of doing an album? Well, it was a promise I made myself when I was 10 that if I ever had the chance to make this into a book, that I would, and here I am, and finally the promise has been fulfilled, and it's very therapeutic to finally get this out in the world. You've wanted to do this since you were 10, so you've had this story in your mind for 5 whole years. That is quite inspirational. It's 12 years, actually. It's 12. I'm 22 right now, so that would make it 12 years. Now tell us something about working with Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, that's stuff I've dealt with in the last couple months. One of the most amazing part of the process of getting this book published was finding an illustrator to kind of make my images come to life, because when I used to write this as a kid, I was incredibly visual, and I used to spend hours drawing different characters and whatnot. And actually, I have a picture, if we could bring that up, of a childhood drawing that I made. There it is. Yeah. I remember I was in 3rd grade when I drew that, and I didn't have enough time in class, so I asked the teacher if I could take it home and finish it, and they granted me, so that was great. So there it is. That's my childhood drawing, I found Brandon Dorman online and fell in love with his illustrations and his technique and had to have him. And so we finally grabbed him, and that was such a blessing. Can we show the cover of the real book now? And he really, really, truly just captured exactly what I wanted. He used less crown, but I think his is just as good as mine, if not better. It's actually, can we see that other picture again, the one that we just left? Yes, it's funny because I look for one, like they're very similar, but it's funny because I look at the picture now that I drew when I was younger, and it's interesting how certain things that I've changed since then. Like for instance, most notable in this picture, Goldilocks in the left corner has ninja swords, and at the time that I drew this, I was obsessed with ninjas. But in the real book, she does not have ninja weapons, because I figured that would just be ridiculous. So she indeed has just a sword. So let's see the cover again, the next picture. So yeah, so things have changed definitely. And oh, there's a locket in that picture. There's no locket in the book anymore because I was doing Annie at the time in Fresno, so I drew a locket in there for some reason. I don't remember why. But it really was an amazing process working with Brandon and emailing him and telling him exactly how I saw this world, and that poor man. someone please, I don't know if I have the power to nominate someone for an award hosting this, but someone please nominate him for an award, not just for art, but for patience, for dealing with this guy. Because these are some emails that I exchanged with him, and you will see firsthand the abuse that he experienced from me with my little questions. Can the Troll King's crown be more Camelot, less Viking? Which I'm sure we all know what that means. Rapunzel's tower has one window. Think more prison, less penthouse. Can the twins be positioned on the cover a little more outward and not look so scared as they fall to a possible death? The gingerbread house should have a candy cane fence, not a gumdrop one. That's just silly. The Saber of the Sea, which is an item the twins collect for the wishing spell in the book, has a handle made of coral and shell with a blade made of sea glass. And somehow he managed to pull that one off. So that was great. And one of my favorite notes ever, the magic mirror is tall and is a rectangular half circle with a black frame and vines made of cast iron weaving in and out of it like snakes. Also, there's a silhouette of a man standing inside the mirror. You know, like a stalker looking through a window on a foggy day. And he managed that one too. So I have to thank you, Brandon, so much. I have not yet met you, probably because of the restraining order. But thank you so much for bringing those to life for me. And in the book, the twins travel through the magical world of fairy tales, and I didn't even know how to describe the world to Brandon to recreate. I would tell him it's like Australia, but there's a bay in the southwest corner, and there's a river here. So rather than going through that process and putting through that, I just found a map that I made when I was in junior high. If we could show that next picture. I made that on Microsoft Paint in my bedroom, probably about 4 o'clock in the morning in Clovis, California, and didn't know how I would verbally explain it to him. So I just sent him the map. And he recreated it for me. So if we could show the next picture. So pretty. I got a little emotional when I first saw it. Yeah, so there it is. There's the Land of Stories. And if we could put them side to side now with that picture. It's really, it's so incredible for me to look at that. Thank you. And see that my little Land of Stories is all grown up and out in the world, and other kids are going to read it now. I'm so anxious. So I'll stop talking now.